days when the judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in the land of Judah, and when they reached Moab, they settled there. Sadly, Naomi's husband Elimelech died, and she was left with her 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other a woman named Ruth. But about 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died as well. This left Naomi alone, without her 2 sons or her husband. Then Naomi received news in Moab.
The Lord has blessed his people in Judah by giving them good crops again.
Naomi, Orpah and Ruth got ready to leave Moab. They set out from the place where she'd been living, and they took the road that would lead them back to Judah. Naomi loved her sons' wives, and on the journey, Naomi stopped and said,
"Go back to your mothers' homes, and may the Lord reward you for your kindness to your husbands and to me. May the Lord bless you with the security of another marriage. Goodbye, my dear Orpah. Goodbye, my dear Ruth."
No, no, no.
We want to go with you to your people.
They all began to cry.
Why should you come with me? I can't have other sons who could grow up to be your husbands. No, my daughters, return to your parents' homes, for I am too old to marry again.
The 3 women cried together again.
I have decided. I'll go back to my family. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Ruth, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. You should do the same.
Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate us.
When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. So the 2 of them continued on their journey. When they came to Bethlehem, at the beginning of the barley harvest, the entire town was excited by their arrival.
Look! Look! It's Naomi!
She's come home. I wonder why.
Is it really Naomi?
Don't call me Naomi. Instead, call me Mara, which means bitter. For God has made life very bitter for me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me home empty. Why call me Naomi, when the Lord has caused me to suffer and sent such tragedy upon me?
In Bethlehem, there was a wealthy and influential man named Boaz, who was a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech. One day, Ruth said to Naomi,
"Let me go out into the harvest fields to pick up any stalks of grain left behind."
That sounds like a good idea. All right, my daughter, go ahead.
So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters. And as it happened, she found herself working in a field that belonged to Boaz, the relative of her father-in-law, Elimelech. While she was there, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters.
"The Lord be with you."
The Lord bless you.
Then Boaz asked his overseer,
"Who's that young woman over there? Who does she belong to?"
That's the young woman from Moab who came with Naomi. She asked me this morning if she could gather grain behind the harvesters. She has been hard at work ever since, except for a few minutes' rest in the shelter.
Boaz went over and said to Ruth,
Listen, why don't you stay right here with us when you gather grain? Don't go to any other fields. Stay right behind the young women working in my field. See which part of the field they are harvesting, and then follow them. I've warned the young men not to treat you roughly, and when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water they have drawn from the well.
What have I done to deserve such kindness? I am only a foreigner.
Yes, I know, but I also know about everything you've done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I've heard how you left your father and mother and your own land to live here among complete strangers. May the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done.
I hope I continue to please you. You have comforted me by speaking so kindly to me, even though I am not one of your workers.
Later that day, when it was mealtime, Boaz called to Ruth.
Come over here and help yourself to some food. You can dip your bread in the sour wine.
So Ruth came and sat with the harvesters, and Boaz gave her some roasted grain to eat. She ate all she wanted and still had some left over. When Ruth went back to work again, Boaz ordered his young men,
Let her gather grain right among the sheaves without stopping her, and pull out some heads of barley from the bundles and drop them on purpose for her. Let her pick them up and don't give her a hard time.
So Ruth gathered barley there all day, and when she beat out the grain that evening, it filled an entire basket. She carried it back into town and showed it to her mother-in-law.
Where did you gather all this grain today? Where did you work? May the Lord bless the one who helped you.
The man I worked with today is named Boaz. He was so kind to me, allowing me to collect grain, and he even let me eat with his workers.
Then Ruth also gave her the roasted grain that was left over from her meal.
And what's more, Boaz even told me to come back and stay with his harvesters until the entire harvest is completed.
Boaz is one of our closest relatives, one of our family redeemers. May the Lord bless him for showing his kindness to us. You do as he said, my daughter. Stay there right through the whole harvest. You might be harassed in other fields, but you'll be safe with him.
Ruth worked alongside the women in Boaz's field and gathered grain with them until the end of the barley harvest. Then she continued working with them through the wheat harvest in early summer, and all the while she lived with her mother-in-law. Then one day, Naomi decided to talk to Ruth about her future.
My daughter, it's time that I found a permanent home for you so that you will be provided for. Boaz is a close relative of ours, and he's been very kind by letting you gather grain with his young women. Tonight he will be winnowing barley at the threshing floor. Now, do as I tell you. Take a bath and put on perfume and dress in your nicest clothes. Then go to the threshing floor, but don't let Boaz see you until he's finished eating and drinking. Be sure to notice where he lies down. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down there.
I will do everything you say.
That night, Ruth went down to the threshing floor and did exactly what Naomi had told her to do. After Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he lay down at the far end of the pile of grain and went to sleep. Then Ruth came quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. Around midnight, Boaz suddenly woke up and turned over. He was surprised to find a woman lying at his feet.
Who are you?
I am your servant Ruth. Spread the corner of your covering over me, for you are my family redeemer.
The Lord bless you. You are showing even more family loyalty now than you did before, for you have not gone after a younger man, whether rich or poor. Now don't worry about a thing. I will do what is necessary, for everyone in town knows that you are a virtuous woman. But while it's true that I am one of your family redeemers, there is another man who is more closely related to you than I am. Stay here tonight. In the morning I will talk to him. If he is willing to redeem you, very well, let him marry you. But if he is not willing, then as surely as the Lord lives, I will redeem you myself. Now lie down here until the morning.
So Ruth lay at Boaz's feet until the morning, but she got up and returned home before it was light enough for people to recognize each other. When she got home, Naomi asked her,
"What happened, my daughter?"
Ruth told Naomi everything Boaz had done for her.
"Just be patient, my daughter, until we hear what happens. The man won't rest until he has settled things today."
One day Boaz went to the town gate and took a seat there. Just then the family redeemer he had mentioned came by. So Boaz called out to him,
"Come over here and sit down, friend. I want to talk to you."
So they sat down together. Then Boaz called 10 leaders from the town.
"Will you sit as witnesses to my conversation?"
"Of course." "We will."
"You know Naomi, who came back from Moab. She is selling the land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should speak to you about it so that you can redeem it if you wish. If you want the land, then buy it here in the presence of these witnesses. But if you don't want it, let me know right away, because I'm next in line to redeem it after you."
"All right, I'll redeem it."
Of course, you do realise that the purchase of the land from Naomi also requires that you marry Ruth, the Moabite widow. That way she can have children who will carry on her husband's name and keep the land in the family.
"Oh, then I can't redeem it because this might endanger my own estate. You redeem the land. I cannot do it."
Now, in those days, it was the custom in Israel for anyone transferring a right of purchase to remove his sandal and hand it to the other party. This publicly validated the transaction. So the other family redeemer drew off his sandal and gave it to Boaz.
"Here is my sandal as a sign that I don't want the land that Naomi is selling. You can buy it."
Then Boaz said to the elders and to the crowd standing around,
"You are witnesses that today I bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion and Mahlon. With the land I have acquired Ruth, the Moabite widow of Mahlon, to be my wife. This way she can have a son to carry on the family name of her dead husband and to inherit the family property here in his hometown. You are all witnesses today."
"We are witnesses. May the Lord make this woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, from whom all the nation of Israel descended."
"May you prosper in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. And may the Lord give you descendants by this young woman, who will be like those of our ancestor Perez, the son of Tamar and Judah."
So Boaz took Ruth into his home, and she became his wife. Ruth became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and the women of the town came to celebrate with them and with Naomi.
Praise the Lord, who has now provided a redeemer for your family.
May this child be famous in Israel.
May he restore your youth and care for you in your old age. For he is the son of your daughter-in-law, who loves you and has been better to you than 7 sons.
Naomi picked up the baby and cuddled him.
"Isn't he wonderful? I shall care for him as if he were my own grandchild, the son of my son."
Now at last, Naomi has a son again.
Boaz and Ruth named their son Obed. When Obed grew up, he became the father of Jesse, and then, many years later, he became the grandfather of David.